For numerous reasons, reduced carbohydrate diets of all types lend themselves easily to what people call intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating. Eating your food for the day in a limited window of time every day appears to be a common strategy for weight loss in our circles on the proper human diet store side of things, and for good reason. The research consistently shows that even a limited restriction of 8 hours of available eating a day can work wonders for the metabolism. We've known this anecdotally for some time now, but now we have some peer-reviewed research that shows what we've known for a while in practice. Even a limited time of eating per day can have almost miraculous effects. It can render the need for much of the dietary-related medication that's out there right now null and void. So let's have a look at this latest piece of good news. Headline from Medical Express: Dinner at 5 p.m. New research suggests eating early and within a 10-hour window is healthier. Now let's be honest with ourselves here. A 10-hour window is, in intermittent fasting terms, a 14-hour 10 fast, and it's not really intermittent fast anyway, since the benefits of an intermittent fast don't even start until the beginning of the 16th hour for most people. But this is really pretty promising stuff nonetheless, since that means these practices are common in our nutrition circles, have gotten the attention of more serious food and science researchers, and we need more of that. From the article, quote, researchers have provided more evidence that eating earlier in the day might be good for you, and eating all of your meals within a 10-hour window could be healthier too. The takeaway from this latest wave of research on eating: eat breakfast and try to confine your meals closer to a 10-hour window. A reason to eat earlier in the day: participants who ate meals 4 hours later in the day were more hungry, burned calories at a slower rate, and had body changes that promoted fat growth, according to a study from researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital. The research was published this week in Cell Metabolism. In this study, we asked, does the time that we eat matter when everything else is kept consistent? First author Nina Vujovic, a researcher in the hospital's Division of Sleep and Circadian Disorders, wrote in a description of the research on the hospital's website. And we found that eating 4 hours later makes a significant difference for our hunger levels, the way we burn calories after we eat, and the way we store fat. Researchers had 16 overweight patients eat the exact same meals on two schedules, one with meals earlier in the day and the other with meals about 4 hours later in the day. For example, a participant in the early group might eat at about 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. The other group at 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. Participants logged their hunger and appetite. Researchers gathered blood samples, levels of body temperature, and energy expenditure, and samples of body fat tissue from some subjects. Late evening more than doubled the likelihood of being hungry, researchers said. When study participants ate later in the day, they had lower levels of the hormone leptin, which is present when we feel full, researchers said. Genetic tests also suggested fat growth accompanied later eating. Eating late resulted in about 60 fewer calories being burned, the study says. We wanted to test the mechanisms that may explain why late eating increases obesity risk, senior author Frank Shear, director of the medical chronobiology program in Brigham's Division of Sleep and Circadian Disorders, said in a statement, end quote. Sometimes you guys ask about my eating habits, and it's a fair question. I tend to eat on a daily basis to keep to a 16-hour fast with an 8-hour eating window, but I don't live and die by that either. I try to do longer fasts on Fridays, sometimes manifesting as a full monk fast from Thursday to Saturday, with the goal of being able to do a Thursday to Sunday fast in a year's time. But intermittent fasting did help gain control of eating habits for me, if for no other reason than just the disciplinary side of things, which people seem afraid to talk about in carnivore groups. That's why you see people sell the diet by saying, you can eat as much as you want to lose body fat, just eat when you're hungry, and all the rest of it. And a lot of that isn't true for a lot of us due to metabolic damage we have. Some of us just don't get satiated until we're on the verge of nausea. People are afraid of discomfort. It really is true, me among them, by the way. That's not an attempt to make anyone feel guilty. We all shy away from hard things all the time, which is why it's important for us to adopt these practices that are hard. That's one of the benefits about intermittent fasting. It's a disciplinary thing. It not only builds character, but opens the door to other life-changing practices that are hard too. For example, I'll be trying what gets called a fat fast in the coming days, just to see how that goes. Maybe not this week, but maybe next. I'll let you know how it's done after the results and what the results were. But back to the article, though. Quote, if you try to eat earlier in the day, making breakfast your biggest daily meal may not be so important, suggests another study, published in Cell Metabolism last month. Researchers had 30 subjects who were overweight follow 2 4-week diets, one with 45% of the day's calories in the morning and the other with 45% of the day's calories at dinner. Researchers at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland and the University of Surrey in England had expected those who had a big breakfast and small dinner would burn more calories and lose more weight. Instead, they found no differences in subjects after they followed the 2-meal patterns, but those following the morning loaded diet did report less hunger pains. We know that appetite control is important to achieve weight loss, and our study suggests that those consuming the most calories in the morning felt less hungry, said one of the study's authors, Alexandra Johnstone, a nutrition professor at the University of Aberdeen's Rowett Institute, in a news release. The 2 complementary and quote-unquote rigorous studies on overweight and obese healthy people, quote, show how quote-unquote front-loading calories is a beneficial strategy to reduce overall hunger, said Professor Panda in the Regulatory Biology Laboratory at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in La Jolla, California, in USA Today. He was not involved in the front-loading food research studies, but was among the authors of a study on time-restricted eating published this week in Cell Metabolism. Your overall meal schedule and how close together meals are might be worth a look too, that study suggests. That's because researchers found that firefighters who ate all of their meals within a 10-hour window significantly decreased levels of bad cholesterol, improved mental health, and reduced alcohol intake by about 3 drinks a week. Subjects in the study who had elevated blood sugar and blood pressure levels saw significant improvements too, they said. Researchers at the Salk Institute and the University of California, San Diego tracked 137 San Diego Fire Rescue Department firefighters who were encouraged to follow a Mediterranean diet and used an app to track their diet for 3 months. Half ate meals within a 10-hour window, the other half within a 14-hour window. Our study showed that shift workers with high blood pressure, blood sugar, or cholesterol can benefit from a simple lifestyle intervention called time-restricted eating, Panda said in a statement. It's not a pill, but a healthy habit that can significantly reduce these 3 risks of disease without any adverse side effects. Participants picked a 10-hour window with breakfast within 2 or more hours after waking up and dinner 3 hours or more before going to bed on their off days, Panda told US Today. Most chose 8 to 10 a.m. for breakfast, noon to 1 for lunch, and 6 to 8 p.m. for dinner, he said. Putting all these together, it is safe to say that the general public can try to choose a 10-hour window that will fit with their lifestyle for at least 5 to 6 days a week, Panda said. End quote. There's an obvious flaw with that research, though. They also did a dietary intervention. Notice that they told the firefighters to both adopt a Mediterranean diet and eat in a 10-hour window. That's 2 interventions they're doing here, and I'm surprised they didn't pick up on that. A future study should keep the firefighters on the exact same diet they were already on with the window, and another group from that diet to a Mediterranean diet but no diet window, and see what the results are. I'm surprised that error was allowed by the peer reviewers of the Human Subjects Board at the university overseeing the research project, and I say that as someone who's had to apply things to human subjects before. They also don't define what a Mediterranean diet is here either, since there are a whole host of varieties of Mediterranean diet that one could allow. I'm also curious about how much of that impact was caused by the reduction in alcohol consumption. 3 drinks fewer in a week can have a huge impact on some people, so I think more research on that is needed. But as is often said by the more knowledgeable nutritionists, doctors, and scientists in the carnivore world, getting a good study on human nutrition is very, very, very hard to do, since it's frankly unethical to control what people eat for long periods of time, and functionally impossible to do so anyway, short of putting your subjects behind bars, and that's not going to happen anywhere in the reasonably free world, so it's sort of a moot point anyway. All that means is that we're left with studies like this, which still provide some promising results that hopefully another scientist or researcher will test and fix the flaws in the study to see if they can be duplicated. We'll see what happens with that, though, because oftentimes a lot of nutrition research just goes nowhere after the initial study. But I'm curious what you think about this, so let me know in the comments, please. And also, quick question. Would you like a video explaining the flaw with peer-reviewed research in general? Because there really is a big misunderstanding about studies in the online nutrition world, and I can explain and clarify what that is. In fact, there's several flaws, really. So if you made it to this point in the video, let me know in the comments, please. And like and subscribe if you haven't, it really does help. As does sharing this on social media, that helps a lot as well. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore, and thanks for your time today.